Hey everyone, so today we're going to cover factoring four terms, and there's two methods to doing this. There's the box method, and then there's factor by grouping. Factor by grouping actually stems from the AC method in one of my previous videos, but there are times when you're just given four terms and they still ask you to factor. So the question is, how do you deal with those situations? So let's start off with the box method. So you're going to draw your typical box. Try and make it a decent size for you guys, and you're gonna put them in their places. So the first term goes here, and normally the way I fill out the rest of the box, I just do first, second, third, fourth. I do it in a zigzag motion. So first term here, second term here, third term here, and last term here. Now the first term and the last term have to go in these two spots, right? Just like you do it when you're factoring a regular trinomial. But these middles, the order actually doesn't matter. So if you accidentally switch them, that's okay. But first term has to be here, second term has to be here. No exceptions. Okay, so let's start factoring. So you want to start off by looking at the first row. And you say, okay, what do they have in common? So a number they have in common is 2. 2 can go into both 10 and 2. And then the variable they have in common is n squared. Right, that's the most amount of n's you can take out. Okay, so let's start building around the box. What times 2n squared is 10n cubed? Well, that's just 5n. What times 2n squared is negative 2n squared? That's minus 1. Let's go down here. What times 5n is negative 25n? That's just negative 5. Alright, so if we bring this down here in its factored form, we're going to get parentheses 2n squared minus 5, and then 5n minus 1. And that's how we factor it. Let's go by factor by grouping method. Now, when you factor by grouping, it's always two terms at a time. So you want to focus on factoring the first two, and then factoring the last two. Okay, so if we look at these two terms, what do they have in common? It's very similar to how this setup is. Well, they have a 2n squared in common. So we have y equals 2n squared. Open parentheses, what's left over? Well, there's going to be a 5n left over and a minus 1. Okay, so here there's a negative sign. We're going to factor out a negative. But a negative what? Well, what number goes into both of these? That's going to be a negative 5. And what's left over? It's going to be just regular 5n. And then it's just going to be minus 1. And you can redistribute in your head to see if the signs work out. Negative times positive is going to be negative 25. Negative times negative is going to be positive 5. So they do work out. And what you see here is both of these terms have something in common, the 5n minus 1, which is a good thing because that allows you to continue to factor. So you're going to factor out the 5n minus 1. And what are you left with when you factor out 5n minus 1 from both of these terms? You're left with the 2n squared, and then you're left with the minus 5. And as you can see, both of them are the same answer. I've had students ask, well, they're written in different orders. Are they the same? Well, yeah, because by the commutative property of multiplication, any order that factors are written in or numbers are written in will always multiply to the same result or the same product. So it's okay if someone writes it this way and another person writes it this way, because you end up getting the same answer in the end. If you were to plug these two into a calculator to look at their graphs, they're going to be the same graph. But that's pretty much it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe. Later, guys.